Sixth grade Excel, lesson 142, dividing mixed numbers. When dividing mixed numbers, there are two main steps. First, change the mixed numbers to improper fractions. You have already done this with problems involving whole numbers. For example, 4 divided by 1/2 becomes 4/1 divided by 1/2. Next, this is the second step after you change it to improper fractions, change the divisor to its reciprocal and multiply. So you flip the second fraction, the divisor, you flip it, do the reciprocal of that number, which is 2/1, and then multiply and you get 8. Because 4/1 times 2/1 is equal to 8. Here's another sample problem. We've got 2 1/3 divided by 4 1/2. 2 1/3 is the same thing as 7/3. That's written here. Notice that they didn't just cross this out and write a 7 right there. They're actually rewriting the problem over here. And then they're going to rewrite it again as a multiplication problem. That's how I want you to show your work every day on your math. Let me say that again, because this is real important. You're going to get a redo on it. They're going to give you this problem like this. You need to write it as a division problem with improper fractions, then rewrite it again as a multiplication problem where you flip the second fraction. 4 1/2 is equal to 9 halves. When I go to multiply, I have to flip this. That 9 halves becomes 2 ninths. Then I do 7 times 2 is 14, and 3 times 9 is 27. 14/27 is the answer. We'll be going over a few of these. I'm sure you'll get them. They're not too tough. Okay, let's do number 2 together. 2 2/8 divided by 3 1/4. So everybody on your paper write 2 2/8 divided by 3 1/4. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is change these into improper fractions. But before we do that, do you notice that one of these fractions can be simplified? You probably want to simplify it before you start doing the problem. Here we have 2 2/8. Well, 2/8, that's two even numbers. Let's change this, and you can write right on top of it to do this part. That's okay, but we're going to not write on top of it to write our actual division problem out here with the improper fractions. So we're going to change 2/8 to 1/4. Now we're going to change this to an improper fraction. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. That's equal to 9/4. Divided by, keep the division, 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. 13/4. Notice I'm writing it out to the side here. Now I'm going to write it again as a multiplication problem. It doesn't take long to do this. 9/4 times 4/13. Now that it's a multiplication problem, I'm allowed to simplify before I multiply. So I'm going to cross-reduce those 4's. Both become 1's, and so I have 9/13 as my final answer. Make sure you have that all filled in and written just like I showed you here on your paper before you go on to number 3. You are going to pause the video, do number 3, turn it back on when you're ready to see the solution. Alrighty, here's what the problem looks like for number 3. 1 2/5 divided by 4 1/2. First thing is you should have changed it to an improper fraction division problem. So 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7, that's 7/5, divided by 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9, 9/2. You need to write it this way first, and then out here you're going to write it again. They'll give you all this room. If you write small and neatly, you should have plenty of room to write the problem out to the side every single time. Write it twice. Now we're going to flip and multiply. Second fraction becomes 2 ninths instead of 9/2. Now let's see if we can simplify before we multiply. 7 and 9, can't divide those by any of the same numbers. Same thing with 2 and 5. 7 times 2 is 14. 5 times 9 is 45. Now those numbers are pretty big, and you might be thinking, hey, can I simplify that? Well, the only way to simplify the 14 is divide by 2, and 45 can't be divided by 2, or to divide the 14 by 7. 45 can't be divided by 7. Of course, you could also divide 14 by 14. 14 is not going to go into 45. 7 doesn't go into 45, so 14 is not going to go into 45. All right. Number 4, it says compute the answer to each of these problems, putting your answers in the simplest form. That means your answer has to be simplified, reduced. Write in the numbers that are given in words. Simplify whenever it is possible. Remember that it's easier to simplify before multiplying. That means it's easier to cross-reduce before you do the multiplication problem. So number 4, 2 2/3 is equal to 8/3. 4 1/2 is equal to 9 halves. 8/3 stays the same in my multiplication problem. 9 halves flips and becomes 2 ninths. There's no way to reduce this anywhere. 8 times 2 is 16. 3 times 9 is 27. So 16/27 is our answer. All right, here are 4 problems on the screen. The words are given to you. You're going to write out the division problem with mixed numbers, then you're going to write it as improper fractions, then you're going to flip and multiply, and then you're going to simplify your answer if that can be done. So pause the video, do 5, 6, 7, and 8, turn it back on when you're ready to see the solutions. All right, so you should have already had those written in and solved, and here are the problems that you should have written. So number 5, 8/9 divided by 3.5. We're going to rewrite this as only fractions and a division problem. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, 7/2. Now I flip. We cannot simplify right here. We have to wait till we get to our multiplication problem to try to simplify. Notice I flipped this fraction right there. 8/9 times 2/7. Okay, 8 and 7 can't be simplified. 2 and 9 can't be simplified. Don't forget your equal signs in here, by the way. I've got a lot of kids that are writing this stuff without equal signs. Can't do that. You got to put equal signs in there. 7 times 9 is 63, so 16/63 is the correct answer. 5 3/4 divided by 5 3/4. Now, many of you probably did a whole bunch of work out here. You didn't have to do that on this one because any number divided by itself is always equal to 1. So that's all you had to do is write 1 for that one. That was kind of a trick problem. Number 7, 2.5 divided by 4/5. And by the way, if you did a bunch of work out here, just leave it there. You don't need to erase it or anything. 2.5 divided by 4/5. Let's write it as an improper fraction problem first. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 5/2 divided by 4/5. And then we're going to flip and multiply. 5/2 times 5/4. And notice 5 and 2, 5 and 4 can't simplify, so we get 25/8. But we can simplify that. 8 goes into 25 3 times with a remainder of 1. 3 1/8 is our final answer. Number 8, 3 1/3. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. 10/3 divided by 16. Oh, look at this. We can simplify this first. Anybody notice that? Did you change that before you wasted your time using all these big giant numbers? So we got 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And 9/4, right? Because that 2 and the 8 are gone. Now, if you did it without simplifying first, that's okay, as long as you got the right answer at the end. So 10/3 times 4/9. You have to write this as a division problem and a multiplication problem every time. So now we're going to do 10 times 4 is 40. And there's no way to simplify this before I multiply. So 3 times 9 is 27. How many 27s are there in 40? 1, with a remainder of 13/27. And that's it. So thanks for watching.